Moments ago, former Congressman George Santos left federal court for his fraud case. A judge granted a motion for a partially anonymous jury. Interestingly, Santos had asked for the potential jurors to be questioned about their opinions of him. His lawyers argue it's necessary because he's had so much negative attention on him. Santos has pled not guilty to a range of financial crimes. NewsNation's Caitlin Becker is live outside the courthouse with what has happened so far. Hey there, Caitlin.
Hey, Marni, I was actually in court where George Santos was arraigned on this superseding indictment. He's facing 23 federal charges. He actually just left court right now, and on his way out, cameras can't get too close to him, but our NewsNation, you'll see her right there. That's our Ava Pittman right there. And he actually chatted with NewsNation on the way out the door, telling us that he's confident in the case, but he has one big question, and that is whether or not campaign treasurer Nancy Marks is going to be called as a witness. Now, she is a co-conspirator in this case. She has taken a plea deal. A prosecutor said that they're going to release a 36-person witness list sometime later this month, August 19th, but they wouldn't confirm whether or not Marks was on it. But that is something Santos told us personally that he is interested in knowing. Now, a few other things that happened in court. As I said, he was arraigned on these 23 charges. He waived his right to have those read out individually, so it was a bit of a speedier process than if they would have kind of tediously gone through one by one. But the indictment's really broken down into 5 different parts of 5 different alleged schemes, and that is what he is going to be facing come court. Jury selection comes next. That begins earlier in September. Judge said that she's expecting a week of jury selection and that by the 16th of September, we should be having opening statements.
Caitlin, how could Santos's past fabrications during his campaign play into this upcoming trial?
Well, they may play a big role or they may not play a role at all, Marni. We were expecting to possibly get a ruling on a pretrial motion from prosecutors today asking exactly that question, whether or not they could bring in some of these previous bad acts, embellishments, all of the things that we kind of have come to know about George Santos over the years. And the judge actually had a little bit of an admonishment for prosecutors, saying that she was not here for a voluminous amount of pretrial documents to be filed. And she said that this should serve as a warning for them that some of these things, most of these things, are going to be argued before the court and during trial. So trying to get that done ahead of time seemed to really irk her. So she did not rule on that and said she would not rule on that. One of the other pretrial motions, Marni, that we were looking at today was about the anonymous jury. Both sides, prosecutors and defense, agreed that they wanted to have a partially anonymous jury. You really want to protect these jurors. The court agreed. The other thing that the defense had asked for in a motion was a 137-question questionnaire to be posed to potential jurors. The judge said there's a pool of about 348 jurors who are available, and that number will likely go up. But in no uncertain terms, she is not about a questionnaire. She said that they are tedious, they are inefficient, and she said in her 3 decades on the bench that it is one of the worst things that she's ever seen happen. So there's absolutely not going to be a jury questionnaire. It's going to be tedious. It's going to be a process. They're going to be voir dired individually by both sides and the judge, and that is going to be kind of long and drawn out. Should be about a week, but she says ultimately you're going to be able to get more probative questions, more interesting questions, and more personal questions. So we may get those questions about their political leanings and how they feel about George Santos. They just will not be in the form of a questionnaire, Marni.
Sounds like no special treatment here. The judge making that clear. Caitlin, thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.